Greetings and welcome everyone to an All-You-Can-Geek bonus round. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneed,
What's up?
Corey Feinstein,
Yo, yo.
and Tony Korkanakis.
Hey.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers. We're live right now on Twitch. This is our third podcast tonight, so check out the other ones, Moviecast, Gamecast. This is a bonus round for Disney Plus Daredevil.
Born Again.
Born Again. Season 1, because it has 2 more seasons coming already. Season 2 is coming soon, 2026, next year. But we do these bonus rounds. They are spoiler casts, so we do not check our spoilers. We just talk freely. We're going to spoil stuff massively. So if you have not watched the whole series, I would probably wait and come back to this when you're ready to watch it and get our opinions of what we thought of it. And then always leave us a comment. We'd love to talk with you guys about what you thought of it. And yeah, so last warning, spoilers are coming up here. We're going to cover the series. It was fantastic. Foggy dies. Yeah, just
does he? Or
does he? Does he? We don't know. So yeah, the series kicked off, and I'll preface this that there were 2 different teams that worked on this series. For those wondering,
and you could feel it so much,
and you could, but it did feel jarbled because of that a little bit, and that's some gripes we do have. I'm sure all of us, but episode 1 that we got, that was not originally part of the show, I thought was fantastic. I loved episode 1 from the series. We talked about it in the podcast. I was like, man, this is like what I wanted from Netflix Daredevil. Which, by the way, guys, do you remember how bad season 3 was on Daredevil on Netflix? Like, it was not a good episode, not a good season. Like, I didn't think it was that good.
Season 3?
Yeah, was
season 3 was great.
It was season 2. I'm sorry, was it season 2?
2 was the one
which
that was.
Had Elektra?
2 was that was 2, and that was the
shite.
Uneven one because it was just
shite.
So many ninjas. Ninjas.
Yeah, there's so many ninjas near it.
Yeah, so it's like there's yeah.
I have to say, like, they started off that first episode and the anxiety was like top tier because like it's like, oh, we're walking in slow motion, my best buds, and it's like, something bad's gonna happen, right?
I didn't know.
And then they get to the place and
you're
like, oh, okay,
early,
we're fine now. Like, I think we're okay. Maybe not until later on something's gonna happen, but then things start happening. So
yeah, so
and so
go ahead, Mike.
So, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to do like a plot segmentation of this, like you like to do, or do we want to just go into it?
Long.
We go into it. We don't have to do the whole plot. Yeah.
For me, like I liked this episode, but it sort of signified some of my worries for the whole series going forward, and that was that despite all the hoopla about Foggy and Karen being back, this episode sort of signified to me is like they're not really going to be in this season.
Yeah.
Like in general.
I kind of got that. Well, after the first episode, you realize that almost immediately. Obviously, Foggy was not going to be there, but Karen as well was more of the. She was not going to be in the show to begin with, and I thought that was a terrible decision. So I'm happy that they shot this first episode, because when we watched the second one, which I think was supposed to be the first episode originally, it would have been.
They did throw her in for a little bit there.
Yeah, it would have been really
for an exit,
but it would have just been a weird. It wouldn't have been as exciting. It wouldn't have been as drawing you in. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about this show,
right,
the way it was shot, we got a lot of no Daredevil, they gave us Daredevil in that first episode, and then they cut him away for all the lawyer stuff that we got. And I loved it. I thought it was fine. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like that would have caused a lot of blowback, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe, yeah.
Not to mention, like, the lack of Karen and Foggy, like, them not even explaining it, or if they were just going to be like, yeah, off screen we killed Foggy and Karen pieced out because of it. Like, that would have been terrible story writing. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So no, the first episode was good. You do get a little bit of the uncanniness with the CGI traversal with this version of Daredevil that he's like, okay, this is Disney now. I can see that, but the initial fight sequence was fun though. Aside from some of that, there's a lot of CGI blood in this, which I'm not a fan of because it looks like you're playing a video game a little bit. That was here a little bit, not that much, but it's a thing that like goes further and further, especially with the new crew episodes, I'll say. But
Mhm.
still, I mostly like that first episode. It set the tone for like ways that we know that this won't be that throughout the series, because you just sort of come to a stop at the end of this episode with obviously very dramatic. It seems like Foggy is dead, or I mean, he's dead as far as we know. He got killed by Bullseye,
Like, how do you
who's back
like
somehow.
fake that though
This
with
is
Matt's hearing and
the
stuff?
heartbeat thing.
Yeah, like how do you? Yeah, you can't fake
That
that with
is
him.
that is one thing I will also say. They never, like, in the whole series. One thing I really liked, they never sort of nerfed Matt's abilities, where like they forgot that he shouldn't ever really be surprised by anyone in any
Yeah.
situation. Like, you can't sneak up on him, and they didn't nerf that, and it made some things sort of like very simple for him, or the solution very simple, which is good. I mean, I'm fine with that. That's his abilities, and they really played into his abilities more, which I did like in this series,
Yeah.
starting in
Great.
this episode.
I needed to mention one thing, and I don't know, either episode 7 or 8,
Oh,
where
God.
he's talking to what's her name, his girlfriend, right? And he's like feeling her face, right? Which I get. But like later on when he catches Muse, um, or he goes to Muse's hideout and like holds the
Yeah.
painting and like is tracing the painting, he's like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend." I'm like, "Hold on."
Come on, bro.
Like, I was like, "I don't
Well,
think Muse works out."
No.
I assume he can pretty much see everything like that has any depth to it. Like, it basically the way he has the radar. So feel
The
her face all
radar
he
vision.
wants. He
Yeah.
kind of already knows like what her general shape is, and if there's raised parts of that painting, I don't know. I'll give that to him with his radar vision. Yeah.
You can forgive it, but even I was like, that's a
That's a stretch.
little,
Like the
yeah,
thing is, like the
that's
thing is,
come on.
the thing is too. It just didn't make sense too because right after that scene, one of his task force, I think that dude calls Fisk and says, "Hey, based on we used AI or a tool on the painting, and it looks like it's your, this therapist down in downtown or something like that." Like he could have just overheard that,
Yeah.
and that would have been
Yeah,
fine,
that
right?
would work.
But like
Well,
it just stood out to me like what I was like, oh, like I didn't. First of all, I didn't know your powers work that way. Second of all, it's like I didn't know Muse could paint like texture. Like, what was Muse like touching her
I
face, like to be able to get the depth and
well,
the detail? Like,
it's
I didn't
just some paintings. The paint is a little raised. It can
for
happen. So I don't
for
know.
me in this season that I didn't like Muse at all. I thought it was a terrible character arc
Well,
for
listen, there's a
this.
lot. Muse and Heather, we just mentioned, both were duds. Total duds, both of them.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah, I would say
mind
so.
Heather until like the Muse episode. Then I
Yeah,
just
that's where she
really
changed.
I
Yeah.
pieced it
guess
out.
so, but I don't know if she's like a psychiatrist, psychologist, if she's just a therapist, but she can't read people at all. She's an idiot.
Yeah, I will tell
She's
you that
terrible at her
she does have
job.
bad, yeah, and everything happened for her the exact way that Matt told her was going to happen. So it's just
But you
unbelievable
can't
that,
trust him.
yeah, he's going to
Doesn't
offer you a
matter. She's happy
position
about
in
it.
his cabinet, and he's going to just to control you. That's what he said to her, I believe, if I remember right from the show, and that's what happened. And how does she take that position? Just fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so going back, we had the original episode, then we had the White Tiger arc to start it off, which gives us a whole bunch of
Right.
lawyer aspect of things. No Daredevil, he's sworn off Daredevil. We get to see a vigilante though, fighting crime, who gets accused of killing somebody who they didn't kill.
Well,
Um,
not in his vigilante
Not
costume.
in his vigilante
Yeah.
costume, yeah. But it kind of gives us a clue into how what we have that are like the real bad guys of the show, which are the police officers and
Cops,
obviously, huh?
cops,
Yeah, the cops. Yeah,
cops.
the cops.
Yeah. It's
Um,
described as a gang of cops, but they're not like ex-cops. They're still just cops.
they're
It's weird,
A
cops
cab,
but whatever.
a
that
cab.
get weaponized by Fisk, but we get Fisk who's trying to be
Okay, Fist.
an actual mayor at first during this arc, where he's trying, and we talked about it in the
Which
You
podcast.
knew something was going
which
on.
I
Like,
enjoyed.
I
Yeah,
think, yeah, like I liked the fact that he was trying to do this and I was expecting and hoping because it really was like dragging out. I thought they would do it a little quicker, but I thought that they would reveal that he was obviously had much bigger plans for what this mayor role was gonna be for his criminal organization. Because there's no way he was gonna be a straight-laced,
Straight in there.
good. Yeah, it's like, no,
Reform.
that's not happening. So there's
But-
definitely something here that, and I didn't realize it was going to take as long as it did, but I'm glad they kind of revealed his master plan.
Do we think he was trying early on to be better?
No,
Yeah,
I
I
hope
think
Or
he
he
was.
was
I
just
think he was
I
trying to be
wouldn't. I
better.
wouldn't.
Well,
I
here's
think he was
the
trying to be
other
better.
thing though. I didn't watch Echo, but I did read what some people have said about Echo, and they say matter of factly, like as a statement, that they literally cured his childhood trauma in that show, and he wasn't like himself anymore after that. So
I
I think there was reason to believe he was a little grayer in the beginning of this season.
I do
I think he
think
was trying to do the right thing.
I think he did try for a
I
little
think he
bit, but
tried. Yeah, he separated
Matt
himself from
showing up.
his wife to try to like give him credit, and like
I think
Yeah, I'm still not even sure what that's referring to.
Still
Is that
kept
him
that
going
guy
to
in that cage.
jail? What
I don't know.
happened? I
no,
don't
I
know what
just
exactly
he
what
tried
happened.
to
I also
distance himself
don't
from his old.
recall where he was.
He tried to distance himself from his old work, and that was the point of what his wife took over, and he distanced himself from all of that. I feel like you actually gave it a real legitimate effort for 3 episodes here. We got a legitimate mayor, and then you could just see the downward trend where he realizes he can't
it
get
was
done. Yeah, he can't get
it
done
was
what he
the
wants to get done.
combination.
Sorry.
It's the combination of his wife cheating on him, or having an affair, whatever you want to call it, and Matt.
Yeah.
Like showing up and doing his vigilante stuff. Because he warned him. He said, don't do this anymore. Because he doesn't want vigilantes running around his city. So it was the combination of the two of those things where he's like, fuck it. And you can see it, like slowly and gradually. Like, I will say the
I don't
one
know.
episode.
I don't think so.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I just.
No, I
You
mean,
thought he was bad the
why?
whole way?
You're the one who didn't
Yeah.
like this Fisk earlier. You have a weird
Yeah.
read on his Fisk, I think.
Yeah, and I'm like I think that there's why else would he go for that doc project right away? That's the first thing he wanted to do.
I mean, so there's levels to this
He
too,
knew
because
that, like what that would mean for him.
That's true.
well, yeah,
Sure,
if he
okay,
wants to be corrupt, if he wants to make money, like he's just a politician, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different thing where he gets to at the end of this
Yeah.
series where he's just like,
no, I agree that he had an arc to his character.
like he's
but I
a
don't think he was
mustache
trying to
twirling by
be
the end of
good.
this, and it's
I don't
kind
ever think he was trying to be a straight arrow,
no, he
or
want,
whatever you're saying.
but do we think he wanted to be obviously in power at himself, but wanted to be the best for the city or for himself or Vanessa?
That's on
Like
that
I
side.
think he was trying to make the city better in his mind.
Maybe, well, maybe.
I think
maybe
he
in
was.
his
I think he was. Yeah.
demented
My
thinking.
argument for that is that his political aide, in the first couple episodes, like he was listening to her and doing all those stupid things. And I will say, like
Going through
one of
the
the
hoops.
funniest things for this series was that one episode where I think it introed him going to all these stupid meetings that he didn't want to be at, and that one song kept playing, like the city. It was just like he just kept having that visceral reaction. Yeah,
I think
like,
that was like the only time I laughed out loud in this.
Yeah,
When the
it
kids
was-
were
it was
singing
funny.
at him, and he's just like,
yeah. Funny trivia I read on Twitter was that apparently the kids they had for the English
Saying it too well.
school
Yeah.
sang too well. They had to like re-record, but guys, be bad. Like, don't be good at this. Like, make yourself sound worse.
Yep.
Which I think is pretty
Do
funny.
you want to hear that again? No, I'm good. Thank you.
But yeah. So anyway, I think you could say like maybe he wasn't going to be like, hey, 100% pure, but like I do think he was trying at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he was listening to his aide pretty decently in the beginning. By those last 2 episodes, he's like, no, we're doing things my way. Like, get on board or.
Yeah, Puck was always in the background, but he was not being used until like the 4th episode. And that's when you realized he started this downward
he
trend
gets like
at that point.
more prominent as he's just like,
that's the spiral guy. That's your spiral guy.
Yeah.
So I really do feel like he was trying to be mayor and do things right for the city to clean it up, and then he realized all the bureaucratic bullshit that he has to go through, and he's like, I can just do this on my own better. So that's what we got. So we have these 3 episodes White Tiger, and where he's on trial defending himself, and eventually, obviously, he gets killed at the end of this trial. What do we think of that?
Well, I did like that Matt actually won, because I feel like in the older series he like lost all the time as a lawyer.
Yeah.
But also, and this seems to be a reoccurring theme, even though we literally see the statue build him up to Daredevil again, like it's a good thing. But everything he does backfires, Matt,
Yeah,
and pretty spectacularly.
I
Like
think that's
everything he
like
does, like is just wrong and like
he's
just
the
does not
only
work out for him.
he's the only one that could rival Spider-Man in that superpower. Like no matter what he does, like it just comes back to fuck him up.
He does. So, and this is where one of my disappointments is like when we see just how corrupt the cops are and how easy it is for them to just like kill this guy after this whole trial, after everyone knows who he is and how obvious that kind of is that happened like that. It's just like, oh, these guys are real powerful. There's someone pulling the strings behind them. It's like, nope, not yet. Actually, this is them just sort of auditioning almost for
Yeah,
Kingpin
they
later.
were basically
I was
building a
like,
resume, building their
okay.
resume.
And and I
Yep.
also was a little disappointed that we never saw Hector actually do anything before he died, like be competent at anything before he just got taken out. But
Yeah.
whatever. And
We do
also,
get
then there was the mystery of who was the one who shot him that ended up being this almost non-character. I didn't appreciate that too much.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's the group of them. They all plotted that, and it was the Punisher bullet,
No,
which brings the Punisher into it at the end of the
right.
episode, which I thought was great. The reunion of John Bernthal, his Punisher with
Mhm.
Matt in the sewer. It was just back to
Right.
Netflix series again at that point. I love that. Like that was a great interaction with
Yeah.
them.
Except again, another thing that doesn't go Matt's way, that it sounds like the Punisher wins the argument there
Oh,
when
I
they're
think he
talking. It
does.
sounds
He
like it's like,
absolutely does.
man,
Yeah.
Matt should have killed some people. God damn it! And you're like, wait a minute, is that the episode we're going? Is that
Yeah.
the message we're going for within this Daredevil show? That
Yeah.
Matt
No,
should be
Matt.
killing people?
Punisher's arguments were not wrong with certain things, but they're difference of characters. How they one will kill the other one, but
No,
they're very close. They
it was a
walk that
great
same
scene,
line.
and the
Yeah. Um, After that, we got the filler episode, which I froze. You guys there? Hang on, 1 second. 1 second.
the
Stand by.
dream froze.
Yeah, the audio's back, right?
Mm-hmm. Audio's been here the whole time.
How do I get this to? There we go. We back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. My computer runs a little slow after a certain amount of time, apparently. But we got the audio back real quick. Apologize for that, folks. Let's keep going on. So, yeah, we had the filler episode, which I really don't care for. We don't have to really talk about that, do we? I mean,
This is
We didn't like it at
Bank
all.
well,
episode?
no, I thought it was fun. I thought
I
it was
liked
fun.
it.
yeah,
The bank episode.
it's a complete
It
filler. Like
totally seemed
nothing to
like
do
from
with
a different.
anything.
A,
Yeah,
it's fine. It's a totally different. Seems like it's from a different universe. But it was fun. A good showcase of his powers, and although just like how he beat up the cops at the end of the second episode, which I thought was maybe the best fight scene in the show, honestly. Um, that was like the most hype I got, and Matt is blowing his cover, man. Like, how do people not know there's something else going on with him?
Well, I
Like
yeah.
mean,
between that and then this bank thing that he pulled off out of nowhere. Like,
it always
it's like,
depends on the run. Because in the comics, like, there's that meme, I'm sure you've seen it, where like it's Matt Murdock and he's wearing a shirt that just says "I'm not Daredevil," and it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, he's just like
yeah. Um,
like
yeah.
especially the same group of cops from that one guy. I don't even remember his name, but the one who seemed more important than the guy who actually shot Hector. I don't remember his
Oh,
name,
the
but
partner of the guy that got
yeah, the
Yeah, the
shot.
guy
partner.
who
The partner.
kept showing
he's
up.
running
Like,
up.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to know. Like like man, that's
Matt beat the
something
crap out of him.
special
Yeah.
going on with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, so we get the second half of the series, which deals with Muse, and then the Kingpin return and Daredevil return. So episode 6 was pretty awesome because we had that downward spiral of everything, um, with with both characters, not downward spiral, I guess, but like you have the exact same trend as we talked about with Fisk and Matt going to their old ways. And you get the final completion by the end of the episode where they're back to their old ways, where he's Daredevil again and it's Kingpin again, essentially in this episode. Um,
I like the
So
parallels that they had throughout the series of
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil and Kingpin
mhm.
and how they were both, like you're saying, they're both
Yeah.
spiraling back into their old ways and how they go about it and them kind of being the catalyst for both of that was pretty neat.
Each other. Yeah.
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 And I mean, they both are seeing the same therapist in different ways, of course, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Therapist
Speaking
is
of,
not doing her job in any way.
so
Really
did we
bad.
did we like that whole Muse arc where she killed him instead?
um,
So,
That's fine.
I don't mind them. My understanding is Muse
yeah.
is supposed to be a bigger character, but I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. So
Yeah.
Well,
whatever.
doesn't look
Again,
like it now.
I
But
mentioned it earlier that, it helped me that I don't know who this character is as a character. So just as whoever he was in this series, I
yeah,
didn't
it
really
didn't.
care that he
The
didn't stick
character was
around.
fine. Like I think it was an interesting character, but they didn't give him enough time to brew. I
Yeah,
don't think it felt like they introduced him, like they teased him. Then they had an episode where he was kind of the focal point, and then he shows up to the doctor and is like, "Oh, I'm the Muse,
yeah.
and I'm gonna kill you now." Like what?
They
How
needed
did
to
we get there?
introduce him like out of like his
Mhm.
like real person identity,
Yeah.
in my opinion, to
I
Well,
mean,
something
they
a bit
did like
bigger.
they
have it's like,
did
oh,
at the
your
book
your
signing.
book
The
in
book
the
signing, yeah.
initial, like, because yeah, the book signing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this kid's coming back at some point, and then I was
We
like,
Yeah,
knew
oh,
that
I
was off
meant
of that.
other
but
than that.
like,
Like,
yeah, but
And
it's just too quick.
there
yeah,
there was also like a little bit of a meta mystery, like they didn't list who the actor was for a long
yeah.
time. So I was thinking it'd be someone more interesting than just random
This
guy
news,
number
yeah,
8.
Yeah, I don't think the reveal of the kid because it's like it was kind of obvious it was the
yeah.
kid, and I was like, are you really gonna kill her now? Like what? Like what? How are you getting from
Yeah.
that to this point? And that I didn't feel made a
That
lot
didn't
of
fit. Yeah.
sense.
Well,
And
he's
then
crazy.
Um,
like, oh, he's a Taekwondo master, and like okay, that's how he can like
Yeah, but this,
beat up Daredevil. It's like, oh, whatever.
I don't think so. But
the
no offense to
the
that
part
kid.
I didn't
But
no like the thing is like, wait, what? Like, okay, but the thing I didn't like about that was um after Daredevil comes saves the day, she shoots him. I'm okay with that, right?
Hmm.
yeah,
I'm fine because like when you get the serial killers, I'm in that like, hey, you don't get a second chance at this kind of thing. That's my personal
Yeah. I mean, if
philosophy about
someone's trying
that.
to kill you, gloves are off.
Yeah, gloves are
Yeah,
off.
also when you're not like a superhero who can, be good
Right.
enough where you
You
can
don't
make those
have special
choices.
skills.
Right.
Yeah.
But after that, when Matt is arguing with Heather, like she's like blah blah blah, and then
The
he's like, "Well,
trauma.
Daredevil saved you." She's like, "I saved myself." I'm like, "You did?
Yeah.
yeah,
You
bullshit.
No,
did?"
you'd be dead. You'd be dead right now.
It's like you didn't save yourself.
No,
You
she
shot
yeah,
him.
yeah. This is the first part where she starts getting really weird. And
Yes. Like after that, I'm just like, okay.
nothing she like says makes sense really. And also I actually turned the captions on because when she's in the hospital bed she says something that seemed really important, but I could not understand what she was saying. She like mumbled. And I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. It hasn't gone this anywhere in the first season, but the word she said was like he knew my name or said my name, which I could not hear her say the
Oh
way
yeah,
she
yeah,
like
yeah.
mumbled it like over and over. I turned the captions on, but yeah, that's pretty important. But then, like, since she's so bad at reading people, she still probably doesn't know that Matt is Daredevil, so it doesn't
Maybe
matter.
she figured it out, and
No,
that's why she's been so spiteful afterwards. Because she's even worse
no,
later.
no, because
No,
like
she's
I'm
really bad.
skipping
Really
around, but
bad.
like after
Not
the
really
whole
skipping
thing
around. 2 episodes.
happens
Yeah.
with Fisk, like she shakes a hand where he like offers her that deal of whatever the hell position, and she takes it. I'm like, so your boyfriend is missing, and his apartment just blew up, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll just go work for Fisk officially in this public capacity. I'm like, if you were a smart person, you would have been like, huh, Matt did warn me about him, and Matt's missing, possibly dead. His apartment's exploded. I wonder if that's related at all.
Well, we get episode 8
This
before
guy that
that.
I have this relationship with that I care about and trust, but I don't
So,
believe him about this one thing that seems to be really important. Everything else I'll believe him, but this one thing, fuck
Ep-
that.
is she going to be a full-on villain in the next season?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
I mean, she kind of has to be at this point.
I
Like,
think
there's
so.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's no coming back.
So we had episode 8 was the one we talked about last week a little bit. I couldn't get into my issues with that episode, but now I can. It totally felt like
I like this
Daredevil.
one.
It totally felt like Matt was purposely getting Dex freed. Like that's what it felt like in that episode.
No,
Like I'm sorry, but like
no.
he broke his mouth and then like he had the tooth that he used as a weapon. It just that's what it felt
Yeah,
like.
that
I'm
was
like it was all
stupid.
set up. It was all set up to me. Like I was like, oh my god. Like how did he
No,
not realize that?
again, this is. How did he not realize that? He expected a guy to spit a tooth out like at like supersonic
High
speeds to
velocity.
go
Yeah, I
into
guess you're
someone's
right.
eye.
Yeah, I just felt like it was like okay. I don't know what he expected to accomplish going to see him right there, but whatever. So
He wanted to get the answers, then he just lost his temper. And again, it's another thing that blows up in his face completely. But I like this episode because as Daredevil, despite Kingpin obviously having a problem because he's basically afraid of Daredevil, this was like the third time in a row here where Matt does Fisk a huge favor.
yeah,
Like 3 times in a row.
he does.
So
Yeah,
despite the sort of anger and quickening, I'm just like, this would be interesting if does Fisk want to use him Matt now or use Daredevil like he did earlier with taking credit for him, or will he think differently now or a little bit? And then the next episode comes and it's like, no, let's kill him in his sleep. I'm like, that's like the least interesting thing that could have happened based on him taking a
yeah,
bullet for him the previous episode. Because I was interested in that at
yeah.
the end of that episode. I was interested in what's going on with Poindexter. Like, why is he trying to kill Fisk first? There's obviously like this conspiracy going on, like between him and Fisk's
Vanessa
wife,
and Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Yeah,
Vanessa, Vanessa telling Matt to calm down. It seemed like she might have been implying it's like, oh fuck, he's not really dead, but we don't know, other than that number on the building. All of that we don't really get any like we don't follow that at all anymore going into the next episode, and that's what bothered me. And I was
it.
I was down, I was into it, and that whole like ballroom scene, like I thought that was very dramatic and
I
interesting.
didn't mind the ballroom
Then like
scene, but
all of those threads kind of get cut off right there, and instead it's just like, oh yeah, remember how Punisher likes to kill people? Let's watch most of that.
yeah, it did turn into an action
That's
sequence in the finale. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like you had Vanessa also kill Adam. Don't forget about that part of it. Killing
Yeah, I mean,
Adam
I
off.
was fine with
yes, that
that.
was important. That was that means they're back together.
Yeah.
Like that's what that was, and that was cool. And
Yeah,
Fisk kept his word. He didn't do it. She did.
I mean, I was fine with the way we transitioned from the second to last episode to the last episode because really, the whole dilemma there, right, is Matt constantly believes in people are good or worthy of redemption, right? And even with himself, like that's the whole crux of Born
Yeah, it
Again, right?
is going to church in the beginning. Remember that?
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and even when I think Punisher asks him, like, why did you take a bullet for the guy? He's like, yeah, I'm wondering that same thing myself, right? Whereas Fist just sees that as an opportunity to get rid of his enemy, right? So it's showing again the economy there of them being parallels. You would think like Kingpin would be like, oh shit, this guy just saved my life. Maybe, maybe I'm wrong about it. Maybe we do need, people like him around. He's like, actually, no, this is a perfect opportunity. Like, just go kill him while he's in the hospital, right? It's like you can make it look like an accident. There's going to be no
Which again,
guards, you know.
which is again doesn't work at all because you can't sneak up on Matt Murdock.
no,
No, I agree completely. That's what I was gonna actually say, Tony. It's like I like the parallels of them and their almost opposites and how they're approaching things, and even in this situation where Matt's like, I'm gonna save this guy because that's what I do. It's just a reaction.
Well,
I don't even know if he thought about who
yeah,
he was
no, I
saving.
don't think
It's
he
like, oh,
thought about it.
someone's getting shot. I need to get in front of this bullet to stop it. That's the only way. And then Fisk is like, oh, this is awesome. Like I'm gonna be able to kill this guy without having to make it
Awesome.
look like. But I
essentially.
mean, that's his thinking. He's not thinking, oh, this guy just saved my life. How can I thank him? He's thinking, this guy just gave me a great opportunity to get rid of a problem, and that's
Right?
that's the mindset that he's got.
Right. And you just get to see the desperation too, because once Buck doesn't, you know, get him because Matt slipped away at the last moment, um, he just tells the task force, fuck it, just go
Go,
shoot whoever's in
go
the
shoot him.
department.
I
Like,
do love
no question, you have
like
to go kill anybody.
like
There.
you can be upset with the
Well,
episode
right,
with
and
what you
then
got, but I love the dynamic once again with the Punisher back with their quips, and then you realize like, oh, he's fucking killing people. Holy shit! But it's just like because it's
and
banter,
then
they're having fun, but he's just killing people. But yeah, I
and
do
I
love that.
mean, once again in episode 8, things I think get a little ridiculous too because like he makes New York City no man's land basically, and like turns the power off, and
Well, he
at this
needed to
point,
create a
right?
Martial
But
law,
catastrophe.
martial law.
remember we even name dropped Spider-Man in this. It's like this is supposed to be like the same universe like as like
The
Doctor
Avengers,
Strange,
yeah.
Spider-Man are in the city, like and to have this happen now, like everything else is reasonable to me, like that other heroes, other people around, might be busy, might be geographically further away in the city, like it doesn't matter. But this at this point, it's just like what's everyone else doing now?
So let me ask you though, the power goes out and you're not involved in the story whatsoever, and you see looting going on. Would you not be going to stop the looting? Would you be worrying about somebody you don't know about called the Kingpin you don't know about is doing this? They don't know
I
what's
think
happening.
everyone would know who he is at this
But
point.
how do they know he turned off the power? Like they're not involved in this story of
Like,
finding out what's going on. Like that's a
the thing
convenient
is,
way to say like they're in this universe and
Buildings
these
are blowing up.
like I hate that argument because it's like they don't just know what's happening. They don't know. Like they're not going to just show up to the right spot because they don't know where to go.
I mean, it's
Again,
unfortunately you
like
just got to
again, I
take this
could
at face value.
I know. I mean, and I could until because everything was more smaller scale before this, and then now we get like New York City, the whole city, the mayor with an obvious criminal record is like no one could come in and out, martial law. I think
Yeah,
everyone in the city would notice that.
yeah, but the thing is like, so the two things are we have to look at it we can look at it from the reality lens where Sony doesn't want
Yeah, I
Tom
know,
Holland
which
slash
is
Spider-Man to
no
be
fun,
used,
but yes.
right? Or you look at the end universe and like, does it feel better or worse if they're like, oh,
They're off world
Spider-Man is at college,
in
right? Like
space.
in space, right? Like
Right.
Doctor Strange is still on his space mission or whatever like that,
Yeah.
Multiversal travel
No, I
stuff.
know,
right?
but
Like
then
Wong's, with
Hanging out with
what's her
right.
some
Yeah,
name?
lady.
they're dealing with the
Yeah.
multiverse cosmic
Marissa or
saga. They're
something,
not
was
worried
it?
about a mayor right now.
Right.
But like, I don't know.
Well,
Like the final episode.
Oh,
I
Tony
thought was
froze, by the way.
Tony. You froze. That's a Tony thing. That's not us.
Mm.
There he goes.
Oh,
Good
Tony,
now?
yeah.
you're still frozen. Oh wait, come back on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you just fine. But
Okay.
um, yeah, but I feel like the last episode, I enjoyed it. It gave us the action that we waited for the show, and I think that's what they felt like they needed to give the people to entice them for another season. I think if you just wrapped up the storylines you had and not given like these large action sequences, I feel like that would have been a problem for the viewers. And like, I mean, we got some brutality in this. We got some blood. I mean, we got the commissioner getting his head just
I gotta say
compressed
that
in.
was
that was
ridiculous.
ridiculous. That
Yeah,
was
I mean,
absolutely. I was expecting a cutaway.
my initial reaction honestly was laughter to that because I found it kind of that ridiculous. And then this is where I'm just like, all right, now he's just like,
he's
I
brutal.
mean,
He's
obviously
brutal.
it's brazen.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I know, but I just feel like it's like we need to one up the car door scene from the Netflix show.
Yeah.
And I felt, it felt a little gratuitous to me. I didn't love that was like that. And now that's all you can think about when you see that cop character now too.
Yeah, that's 100%
Like
it.
his whole character gets reduced to like just a meatbag who died in a funny way. I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
Um,
I didn't love that, but
I will
whatever.
tell you that for me, I didn't like the wrap up either. But like, I got to build a team, and he's got like his team of cops, and I was just
This
like
team was
that.
pathetic.
I will say
Oh,
the whole like a team, and it's just like who are these fucking losers? Like no
yeah.
name,
You get the one
whatever.
detective we
Old
met one
lady
time.
bartender.
Yeah, an old lady bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The guy who doesn't want him to be Daredevil.
No, when they said they're building a team, I was like, wait, so I'm excited. We're getting the defenders here? And then, oh, no, we're not even getting anybody's faces. Okay.
I did see that. I did see the interview where the director, whatever, was like, if we showed like, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, like people would just be like, okay, things are gonna be fine next season, right? So like, I kind of get it, but it is like, oh, you made this out to be a bigger deal. Like he shouldn't have said like, I'm putting together a team. I think it should have been like, we have to fight back, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to make more,
yeah.
The city needs to rally. Like, it's not
right. Yeah. It's got to like if he said something like it's got to be the people. Yes, exactly. It's got to be the people because if without the people, I'm just a vigilante. But if it's the people, that's the will, right? I would have preferred something like that rather than like, oh, I'm forming a team. It's like old bartender, dude that didn't want me to be Daredevil.
Yeah.
Some ex-cops.
Some
like
detective who was in one episode. But let's circle back for the Frank Castle aspect of things. What do we think of what he did at the end there? I think that was crazy to go. He just went after
Frank Castle back is great, but I did not like the idea of him going into
just like running in there like an idiot
with no plan. I was like, that's not the Punisher style. He just like what was the end game there?
Yeah, that's why
I thought it would be
almost like a suicide run. Like
the
only reason he's alive is because they didn't kill him. Like
it's another one of the weird sort of logical things I didn't like about that last episode. So he goes in there. Does he assume because he knows they're fanboys they're not going to kill him, even though he killed like 20 other guys right there?
He killed them right in front of them too. As they're trying to non-lethal rounds. I'm like,
I know.
He's fucking killing you guys. But
and then they're just like, and then their conversation wasn't satisfying enough to me either. I wanted him to be just like say more to them, just like, you don't know me, you're clowns. Like, all right, well, I mean, I get that, but like, should have been worse.
Yeah, he should have lectured him more.
I feel like they didn't want to be too like.
He gets his own series.
Anytime you get to like shit on cops, because you don't get to see cops being like portrayed in that negative a light very often, in my opinion, in media anyway. So I would have preferred he leaned into that more, right? Obviously, even saying like I'm sure you guys probably seen that famous comic strip or comic panel where he's talking to cops and he's ripping up their sticker of his logo, right? And he's like, if you need somebody to look up to, his name's Captain America, and he'd be happy to have you. But what I do is different, and you can't do that, right? I would refer to something like that. But I do think there's a part that we haven't really seen so much about Punisher, but I think he's broken just as bad as Matt is in some ways.
Yeah, he is. Definitely.
And maybe he was trying to, right?
I don't.
Maybe I
don't know where he ended up because I didn't see second
Punisher
season of Punisher.
But
I don't
part of
know
me is
where
like,
he ended up there.
Was he trying to commit like suicide by a cop? Right? Maybe I don't really know about that. The one weird thing that I want to go back to earlier when he was talking to Matt and Karen, right? Because he said I got a call, right? And the implication there is that it was Karen.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks he knows that Foggy's alive too. I don't know. That's just my hunch.
I think it was Karen though, because he said you asked a favor and I gave it to you.
Right?
Yeah, he said you asked me for a favor. So I think it was. I don't think it's Foggy, but my real thing with the whole Punisher aspect of things is Fisk sees him alive and doesn't kill him, and just I'm like, oh come on, dude! Like you get this guy who's killed like.
Oh, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, again, that I thought was dumb about this last episode. I'm sorry, I'm down on this last episode. We literally see Kingpin, Fisk, crush the, like, commissioner of the police's head in front of all of his former coworkers and maybe even former friends. And he's just like, yep, I did that. I'm the mayor. I just killed this guy in front of everyone. And then he, like Shredder in the Ninja Turtles, just captures all these vigilantes and puts them in cages all cutely. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Part of me thinks. I mean, again, I would have. I was a little like weird on it too. Like, oh, part of me, like maybe he was saving them for like a public display of something or that. But at least with Punisher, I felt like he really wanted to get him on his side, which would explain why that lead cop was trying so hard. Because, like, really, like if you want a task force, like. That's your dude.
That's
right?
your guy. Yeah, to run your task force. Yeah. Maybe he thought he
I
could
but
think
corrupt
he
him.
might
Yeah.
feel like he has some type of kinship with him too, as far as like, we want justice or whatever. He like
right,
in some demented,
Well,
Through
kind
the
of
right.
red
thinking.
tape.
In which case, like again, I wanted to see more. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to excuse it, but like I am interested in seeing more of that because
and the
I
Punisher's
think
getting
there
his
is.
own miniseries, so you get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Like, did you guys know there was a mid-scene credit?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yes,
mid-credit
where he
scene.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
breaks
I
the
missed
guy's
that
arm.
You
because
missed
none of
the
this.
castle breaks
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I had to go back because somebody mentioned it. I was like, wait,
Oh.
what? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
When I went to the credits,
I
I'm
mean,
like, that
that's,
can't be it, and
it was
because it was just
pretty
that
funny.
shitty task force. I'm like,
Everyone,
it can't end like this. But yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I enjoyed
yeah.
like him tricking the cop to get out was just great. Breaking his arm. Yeah. So.
No.
But
I mean, overall, I
go
do
ahead.
think that this
Overall
season was
impressions. Yeah.
great to see them not pull any punches as far as it being on Disney Plus. They
Right.
had a
Everyone said,
blueprint of
"Fuck."
what, right? They had a blueprint of what Daredevil was on Netflix. They stuck to it because we saw what it could have been with She-Hulk and what
Yeah.
Daredevil was there. But they definitely went back to what the roots
What
of
he
this
was
character
about. Yeah.
was, and that and I like I said throughout this episode, the parallels between Kingpin and Daredevil has got me on board with this Kingpin
Yeah.
here. I've definitely was very down on him in the initial our other spoiler cast. I was not a big fan, but I've grown to like this character more, and seeing him do what he's doing here, I'm much more on board with the
Yeah.
character
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
and
this
again, the
version of
real
Daredevil.
life parallels, which is unfortunate because obviously it's not like they intend that, but like the real life parallels with current political climates are just like
Right.
saying and doing whatever you want without
Any
anyone
repercussions? Yeah.
really,
Checking on you.
it
Yeah.
is scary, right? It's almost like, oh shit, like that's crazy, but here you go. This is what it's like. So yeah, I mean, overall, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the means, but I still enjoyed it a lot. There's some rough edges, but can attribute that to most of that series being under the
The knife.
first crew or first
It was cut
direction.
apart quite a bit. Yeah.
Right. So I'm happy, pleased with that they were able to turn that into what we got. I rank it above season 2 of the original run,
Mm.
and maybe it's been a while since I've seen season 3, so maybe a little
Season 3 was
underneath
good.
that.
I mean, we got the Punisher again,
Yeah.
right? So
But season 1 I think is still the best overall, just 'cause,
and
you have nothing to
well, season
compare it
3
to.
had
3
the
was good too.
Bullseye was
Yeah,
Bullseye.
Bullseye, right.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it was good, even great at certain points, but does give me hope that next season will be even better, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
excited for. Like,
Mhm.
That's
it left me wanting more, which is what I always like to see. Where it's like, because like it kind of ends on a like, yeah, why even bother, right? It's like, whatever.
yeah. Mike.
Yeah.
Overall.
Well, again, like I do feel like the way the last episode contextualized everything for me put me a little down on the series, this season. I would put it about on the level of the season 2. I think season
That's
1 and
harsh.
3 are way better than
But
this.
putting on the
I
level
mean,
of season 2.
all of these I enjoyed watching them. I'm glad I watched them, and I liked parts of them. But
Yeah.
I just feel like the logic in this was just kind
Well,
of bad, and I just found characters just kind of doing weird things for weird reasons. And
yeah.
I think where we get in the end, I understand the parallel of those two. I just find Fisk a little like this whole season. What I liked when Fisk was more like he didn't quite know what he was thinking. By the end of
Yeah.
this, he's just twirling his mustache, and I'm just like, all right, we've seen this before. It's fine, I guess, but it's just okay. He's a bad guy. All
Yeah.
right, that's fun, I guess. I don't know.
He's
It's funny.
he's
I
a
Like
found him
I
more.
like this
I
character
found
more
him more
now.
interesting. I found him more
You're down on him
interesting
more
when he
now.
was gray.
but he's got a
So
bad guy with
whatever.
a vision, man. He's got a vision. So, like overall for me, like this was a great return to bringing back the show. There's obviously holes. There was a lot of actor feedback that made them reshoot things, which is I'm glad that they did that. There was a lot of
Yes,
feedback they got.
100%.
I think that hurt season 1 though. Like overall, like I'm not saying it hurt it. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah,
I it saved season
I
1 because
did.
I feel
I
like what we would
will.
have gotten would have been bad, but I think it still hurt the show because of the
Right.
disjointed
Yeah,
storylines.
just to
Yeah.
interrupt you really
Yeah.
quick, I don't know if we mentioned it during the past couple of weeks, but John Bernthal even passed on the original
Yes,
script.
that's
He didn't
right.
like it. He's
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
don't want to represent Punisher in this capacity.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic that they went back to the board and said, all right, you know what? This isn't working.
We're gonna do
So
this. Yeah.
I
let's come back
was.
to the drawing.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping it would be like everything would be new, but that's not how we had it. Obviously, it was just
No, I'm
3-ish episodes, beginning and end. But
like
um,
mostly it was mostly successful resurrecting a dead show. That it's tough to do that. Like, if you think about all the conversation we've had about can you go
yeah,
home again, X-Men '97 pulled it off flawlessly, but not everybody can do flawless. Like you're gonna have to build on what you have, and I think season two really can build on that. And I hope they do. Like season two is a big like swing here. Let's hope it hits. They
right.
have to hit that, and I think that's the key.
So,
So
so will we be bored if throughout all of season 2 it's just Fisk is the big bad again for basically the 5th season? Actually, he wasn't in the 2nd season. I don't think
no,
the original.
I'm good with him.
No, it was
The
the
whole point
hand
is
in
bringing
season 2.
down. I mean, there's going to be other villains in that, but I think that Fisk is still the big bad with other villains showing up. So we'll see. I think that's what we get, but we'll see. All right, that's going to wrap up the bonus round, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we have MovieCast, GameCast every week, Twitch live Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. If you can't watch the live broadcast, we're over on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a subscribe because that always helps us out. We'll see you guys. We are out.